Hello everyone, today we're going to be going over how to do well on the Casper exam. I'm not going to put this in the fancy view mode just because I'm a little lazy, so please don't mind all the different PowerPoint items going on. So basically, how this is going to go, I'm going to run through what is the Casper test, how you should be tested, why you should trust me, and then we'll get into some tips. So what is the Casper exam? So as per the Altus website, the Casper exam is used to evaluate an applicant's personal competencies. Basically what the test is trying to do is they are trying to evaluate your morals in different situations. And more specifically, it's looking at your social intelligence and professionalism. So this includes items such as your ethics, empathy, and problem solving. In addition, if you look to the bottom right, it also includes collaboration, communication, resilience, self-awareness, motivation, and problem solving. And I took the test in 2021, but as of 2022, the Casper exam is going to include 2 video response sections rather than the old exam, which did not include any video responses. The old exam was basically you just have to type out all your answers. So now let's go over some test information. The exam can last about 100 to 120 minutes. The exam is taken wherever you would like. Personally, I'd find like a comfy and quiet spot. Spelling does not affect your score, so everyone can rejoice. Each section is graded by a unique person, so this means that as many questions that there are, or I think it goes by each scenario. When you're given a scenario, one person will grade that entire scenario, and then at the end, I'm pretty sure they'll average up your grade. Then that's how they give you the quartile at the end. And for the video section in this year, I treat it as the same as the written section. Try and be professional and try and convey whatever you want to say. And here are the formats of the new Casper test. So with the video response, there's 2 word-based scenarios. So this is basically they give you a blurb, and there's 3 questions that go along with it. And the 4 video-based scenarios. So this is where they give you the what your role is. They're going to say so and so is doing this, so and so is doing that. This is you, and this is your role. And then for the type responses, there's 3 word-based scenarios and 6 video-based scenarios. So this is where you're going to type out your answers. And just like I said, with the word-based, it's a blurb. And the 6 video-based, they give you a role. And then you have to basically use your judgment once you're given that role. Why should you trust me? That is a very good question. I'm just some random dude on the internet making this video. But I'm just kidding. Basically, when I took the test, I was taking for the U.S. allopathic and osteopathic medical schools, and I was able to score in the 4th quartile, where I took the exam in 2021. I blurred out some potential, doxing information over here, but as you can say, U.S. medicine, you scored between 75th and 100 percentile range. So now let's get on to the main tips on what I used to score this well in the exam. So tip number 1, get your typing speed up. Personally, I still believe that Casper is a typing test rather than like a test where you can really express your morals. So when I started practicing, I was around at 70 words per minute, but I used Monkey Type daily. I didn't like track my typing stats like other people on YouTube have, but basically I got my words per minute to around 100 words per minute. Right now it's around like 120, 130, just because I found it fun practicing. And I used, like I said, Monkey Type to practice my speed. And why is this important? Like I said, you only get 5 minutes to articulate whatever you want to say. So it's super important that you're able to type fast and you can get out everything that your brain is thinking. Tip number 2, follow a format. Why is this important? When you take a test, you want to have like an empty and clear mind. Well, not empty. You want to have a clear mind that's thinking. So having this guide is going to help you structure all your responses. From watching different YouTube videos and different Reddit posts and different threads on STN, I would identify what your role is, the kind of scenario that you were placed in, and the people who are in your scenario, and lastly, what is the main issue. So for example, I thought this was really good. I did not come up with this, but I just want to put it in here. I forgot who did. I apologize. Basically, they said, I would not want to make any assumptions about the situation without all the pieces of information. So what is this showing? This is showing that you are unbiased and you want to make a clear decision. Now, this is where you do like the if-then statements. If blank were to happen, then blank. If something were to happen, then I will do what? Basically, so this way it sets you up to answer the question in like any different avenue you want to. I found that using personal experience will be really beneficial in terms of answering different questions. For example, let's say you were a retail worker. When you're working in retail, you obviously run across like different people, different managers. And for example, on some of the like practice questions, they'll say you're a retail worker, someone comes in and they want to return an item without a receipt. And when trying to do so, this person needs the money because one of their family members are sick, and in the company policies, you're not able to return anything without a receipt. In that situation, you don't have the power to give that return because you're not a higher up, right? You're not a manager. You're not I guess, a supervisor. So basically, you say you want to talk to them. This way, you can get a really well-rounded answer for the, I guess, the situation at hand. Tip number 3, practice, practice, practice. So many people assume that you cannot practice for the Casper exam. I find that to be untrue. Just like any test, this can be practiced. You can go through different examples. You can make sure that your examples are perfect before you take the actual exam. Don't go crazy with the practice. I started around 2 weeks before the exam. I felt pretty comfortable once I was reading some examples from the Alta's website and some of the other examples online. So basically gauge this to how you want, like how you usually study. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't go too crazy, but I'd take the time if you need more time and like start maybe like about a month earlier. So become familiar with the format, which I'd mentioned over here. Become familiar with this. It's going to be very important once the questions come along. Use resources online, such as the Alta Suite, Reddit, and BMO. And then for the last part of this slide, what I did was that I'd get a practice question. I'd write my response in testing conditions. Then I'd read my response and say, where could I have improved? Where could I have shown more collaboration, more communication, more empathy, more equity? And the list goes on and on and on. But that's what I would do. And then after I evaluated myself, then I'd go to the way that the testing company wrote out their answer and compare it to that. So this way you kind of get your own reflection, and you get like the test prep company's reflection to see how they were thinking as well. And lastly, I just want to run through like an example with my answer. You guys can read through this. I'll give you a second to pause and I'll read through it. All right. So a coworker whose wife is pregnant is conflicted whether or not to take a paternity leave. He and his wife would both like him to spend more time at home with the baby. Doing so might take him out of consideration for an upcoming promotion at work. Should he prioritize his family or career? Sorry, his industry does not seem to support men who take family leave. A former colleague was penalized for taking leave and spent years stuck in the same position before leaving the company. As his coworker, what do you think you should do? So basically, this is your role. Some people mentioned the STAR technique. So you got the situation, what's going on, the task at hand, what should you do? A is your action, and R is the resolution. So what would you recommend? What I said is I would want to talk to this individual in a private and non-confrontational way. I would also not want to make any assumptions about this individual, as I'm not fully aware of the situation. This is showing that you're unbiased and you want to think through this clearly. I would first ask the individual if he would like me to accompany him to the HR office, where they may have more potential information regarding the paternity leave. This is showing that you're willing to help this person out, even if you may not be close to them, but you're willing to like lend a helping hand. If he decides that he will want to take the paternity leave, I would then be an advocate to pick up the potential work he not be able to. Remember, here's that if-then statement. If he decides, then I would. And then I mentioned what I would personally do. I personally would advise him to take the leave of absence because his significant other may need the help to take care of the newborn baby that's coming along. And then after reading the test press company's response, I'd say before making a recommendation, I would first gather more information. I would find the company's HR policy and review it with my coworker. Once we understood the policy, then I would help the coworker clarify his priorities in a non-judgmental way. This is good. You'll be using a lot in your answers. Non-judgmental way. I don't know what happened. And then next question: what strategies could you offer to help make the decision in a way that he feels comfy? I would ask him if he would first like help in making a decision. This is important. You don't want to impose yourself upon the person. You want to ask them and let them be in control. You're just there to aid them. I would then like to set up a meeting with the HR specialist, the manager, and a third-party moderator to make a cohesive meeting. I would then accompany him if you'd like to speak with a significant other to determine if the leave of absence would be right for him. And then what the company said was that I would encourage my coworker to gather more information about the work culture behind taking a leave. And then this would include information from the boss and other colleagues who have taken the leave. And then I would also suggest making it like a pros and cons list. And lastly, maintaining a work-life balance can be challenging. Why do you think people struggle to find this balance? So this is more like a personal question. This is going to be based on your experiences, based on your morals, based on what you think. And then what I said is, more often than not, we find that our work is the most important aspect in our life. Many people find themselves stressed about meetings, deadlines, and dates due to a potentially harsh culture or fear of getting let go, as in getting fired from your job. I also believe this is the issue because, I believe this is the issue why people struggle to find balance in their work and life. If I were to be a manager, I would stress the emphasis of trying to meet the work expectations, but also stress that it's important to take care of yourself and to make sure that you are being healthy. And then the Casper company said, sustaining a work-life balance in today's society is hard because technology makes things so accessible. This allows for work matters to intrude. Work matters to intrude into non-work time. Employers sometimes demand too much from their employees, and this may cause challenges that impede on challenges to define their work-life balance. So basically, this is the way I would work through my answer. If you guys have any questions about this or like didn't understand anything at what I was saying, please feel free to drop a comment if I was not being clear. And lastly, these are just some YouTube videos that help me. Dr. Shemasian has a really good video. It's around like 20-25 minutes long. I'd go through this and then use my technique that I mentioned earlier. You answer it, you reflect, then you look at his answer. This is BMO. Do the same thing as Dr. Shemasian. And then Next Gen MD, he's a great YouTuber. I love him. I love watching him. He goes through his guide. I believe it's a little bit more thorough than mine, but this is kind of just like a quick video, get everything out of the way. Boom, boom, bam. And otherwise, that's it. If you guys have any questions about the Casper exam, what I did to do well, please feel free to drop a comment. Please feel free to reach out. And I hope you guys have a good day. Take care.